Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. So I finally did get a gun review in, which was nice. I got to spend some much needed time up at the range. And although it was short, it was sweet. But now we are back to kind of reality here, and got to keep pressing forward with this stuff in the garage. Specifically today, we're going to be doing something that I've actually never done before, and that is going to be grinding my floor down to get it ready for the epoxy coating that we're going to be doing. Now I've done stained floors, and I've actually done the epoxy coating itself a few times. Both have been really cool to do. This one is going to be one of those paint and flake finishes, and that's the part I've never done, along with grinding. I've never actually ground a floor down, so it's going to be a nice learning experience. I got my buddy Pat from Carroll Supply coming in to help me. And the way these two videos are going to work is the grinding part is going to be on my channel, and I will attach links to both of these. But tomorrow when we do the paint and flake coating, that is going to be done and posted on my dad's channel, Concrete with the Hosses. So if you guys want to see that, you can pop over there and check that out. So once again, thank you, Sika. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Zach, and everybody else from Carroll Supply. You guys are always awesome. Everybody treats us right, so that's why we keep using you guys. But regardless, today we're grinding the floor down, and as you can see, there is still some stuff in here. So step one is to clear the garage out. So it's cold outside. We're in like the low 20s again. We got snow yesterday, which is ridiculous. But for right now, I'm just going to time lapse this and get everything cleared out and get this stuff squared away until Pat gets here. Alright, so now that everything is basically cleared out, whenever Pat gets here, I'm going to have him give me a hand with these three cabinets, just because I got them for a steal from Home Depot. They were on clearance or something. I think I got this one and this one for like $9 each, and then this one was like $20. And in total retail, those three cabinets are normally like I think close to like $400. So I saw them on clearance and I thought, yeah, I should probably get those. So I do want to keep those a little bit on the nicer side, try not to dig them up. So when Pat gets here, I'll have him help me move those along with the refrigerator. That way I don't have to like shake it around and bounce it too much. All right, everybody, so this is Pat from Carroll Supply. He's gonna show you guys what we're using and why we're using it.
So these are the heads that go on the bottom of our Husqvarna grinder. These are the Husqvarna style tooling. So they have angles that only allow them to slide into the plate one way, and they kind of lock in there. Today we're going to use some hard bonds. This floor is probably pretty soft. It's not super old pour, and it's 18 grit. So we're going to get it nice and cut up so we can put the epoxy down, and it's going to bind pretty good. So we're going to have 3 of these plates that go on the bottom of this machine, and I'll show you how they go on right now. So this is Husqvarna's design they have headlocks. So that those headlocks line up with these circles on the middle of the sliding plate. And then we set them in there and twist it on.
Seems simple enough.
Oh, I guess I broke a headlock. Or the trailer that I just took back. Now we've attached it done. We can go ahead and set this down on the floor. We'll connect our vacuum hose in this corner right through here, and then we'll power it with this generator. But for right now, we're going to start out with the corner tool, because it's important to do the small work first in this type of stuff, because you don't want to go back after. Like if we were polishing, especially, you would want to make sure you do the edge first.
Always. Same kind of concept with the countertops. You do the edge first and then you
work out the big stuff later.
Bingo.
So this machine will go in the corners, and we're just gonna rough up because our hand grinder is a 5-inch hand grinder. It's only gonna leave us probably about that little bit. You know, we want our epoxy to go all the way to this wall, and our hand grinder is a circular device, so it's gonna leave us about that much. Take this little corner tool, get in there and rough them up. Do the inside corners and the outside corners, just to make your life easier. And then we'll come back with the hand grinder after this.
Awesome.
Hand grinder, we use a variable speed for the polishing and the grinding. So it's the only difference between this and your everyday average Home Depot 5-inch hand grinder. It's actually made by a very similar company. This is just a Makita. The dust guard does its best that we can to get as much dust. This is one of the hardest tools to capture the dust from, just in general. So we're gonna do as best we can, but it might get a little dusty.
Sorry, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
So we just went along the wall, and Pat let me do a little bit back here. Thanks, buddy. So basically we were just taking the top off, exposing the rougher surface, kind of opening up the pores so that epoxy paint has a lot of good surface to bind to. You can see the difference there. So now that we gave ourselves a good buffer away from the wall, we're gonna go ahead and Pat's gonna show me how to run the big boy grinder.
Basically, what's happening is we're not cutting fast enough. It's cutting, sure, but it's not happening in the way that I want it to. We're not getting through evenly. See how this stuff is just that's still the cream.
Yeah.
This is where we're down into a little bit of aggregate, which is what I want the entire path to look like.
Okay.
So, from the time that I've spent in the industry, this is what's happening. Basically, my diamonds are too hard. And what that means is they're not wearing and exposing the diamond to cut this slab properly. Every concrete is a different hardness. We usually test that with like a Mohs hardness pencil kit.
Okay.
That'll tell you exactly what diamonds to use. I guessed. So, we got it wrong. But the shop's 10 minutes down the road. We're gonna go grab the right diamonds and we're gonna get this stuff exposed.
Okay.
And we're gonna get rid of this. This is what the concrete wants to, or the epoxy wants to bind to. This is where it's too slippery. So I'm just gonna go grab us the right tools so we can zip through this, because as you can see, we're cutting. It just takes a little bit too long.
Gotcha.
So,
Hey everybody, be sure to watch the end of the video, kind of briefly go over some things that we did and some things that we should have done instead of the process that we took. So if you're interested in hearing that, watch till the end. Everything was going great, moving along slowly but surely. We have like 2 more passes to do there, and then this back section, and the generator ran out of gas. So we'll go get some gas real quick, and you know what, Pat? There's Subway right next to the gas station. I don't know about you, but I could go for something to eat.
I don't think you're wrong.
So,
I don't think you're wrong.
all right, pit stop, and then we'll be back at it. All right, everybody, there it is. The floor has been ground down. Now we got the top layer off. Now stuff like this, it's no big deal. It's tore open. The pores have been exposed, so the epoxy paint, I believe is what it is, it's gonna grab onto that. Pat was just telling me that, yeah, as he cleans up and I sit here and talk to you guys, he said if we were actually gonna like polish this, he said this is what we want it to look like. That exposed aggregate, it's ground down. He said all these imperfections right there would have to go, but for what we're doing, that is what we're looking for. So with all that being said, Amy from Sika is here, so we're gonna go ahead and talk to her about the next steps to make sure we're ready for tomorrow, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so we got confirmation. We gotta soak the floor down, scrub it a little bit, and squeegee it dry. Wait for it to dry then, and then we can apply the primer. All right, so we went over the floor twice, washed it down, squeegeed it. That first pass, we put down some Dawn dish soap with the water. Pat scrubbed it around with the stiff bristle broom. I had a soft bristle broom, and just kind of worked it around, soaping everything up real good. And then Amy came behind with the squeegee and squeegeed all the water out. I jumped back on the hose and started washing it down a second time. Pat did the same thing with the broom, just kind of working it up to get any residual dust or soap up. And then again, Amy came down with the squeegee and squeegeed it out. So now that that top layer is off and all of those open pores are open, I mean, you can see how quickly this is drying. So Amy's double checking on some of the specifications, but I believe it needs to be pretty dry before the primer goes down. So we're gonna figure that out and either primer it here later today or first thing tomorrow morning. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. All right, everybody, so just like anything in the concrete world, there are multiple ways of doing the same thing. The original plan that we had, we were going to prep the floor like we did and then do a coat of primer. Now we opted to wash the floor down a couple times using water, some Dawn dish soap, some light agitation with a stiff bristle broom, and then squeegeeing it dry. However, even with the heater going, the floor wasn't drying that fast. So we opted for a different approach to finishing this. Instead of doing the primer, we're going to do 2 coats of the colored part of the floor, basically the epoxy paint. If you do the primer, you really only need to do 1 coat of it. If you don't do the primer, you need to do 2 coats. The problem is that after the primer is applied, it takes about 8 hours to cure before you can apply the colored. So if we do 2 coats of the colored pigment, I think you only have to wait like an hour or 2 in between those coats. So that way's a little bit quicker, so that's the way we're gonna go. So as of right now for this video, that is gonna be a wrap. You know, throughout this video, you saw the way we prepped it. I cleaned everything out. Pat brought over his grinder, so we ground the floor down using the softer style grinding pads, I think they're called. But that was a really cool experience because I've never done any sort of concrete grinding before, so that was really neat to learn that. Just to kind of know what to look for if we ever do this sort of finish again, which I have a feeling we're going to start dabbling in this finish as well. It is a little bit time consuming, but I think the end result is going to be really worth it. All right, everybody. So after putting this video together, I realized I kind of never went over the process or anything in my wrap up. So basically what we did is, obviously I started out cleaning out the garage. I got everything clear, and then I did leaf blow it to remove any of the loose surface topical debris, anything that was sitting right on top. After that, Pat brought the appropriate grinders that we needed. We hit the corners with the multi-tool and the triangle bit to rough those up. Then we went around with the hand grinder to do the perimeter. And then obviously you saw us go around with the big floor grinder and grind the whole floor down. Now, after we were done with that, this was something that we learned after the fact. Instead of washing the floor down and sweeping it, because it is such an aggressive surface and there are so many surface pores open, as long as your air filter is clean and good on your shop vac, you can just go through and sweep the floor. You don't actually have to wash it down. We washed it down unknowingly on my end. I thought that made sense, and we had confirmation from somebody, and then somebody else called and said, hey, don't do that, you're gonna waste the day. But obviously we went ahead before we got that other phone call and washed it down. So basically, yeah, the floor was really nice and clean after that, but we had to burn an entire day waiting for the floor to dry. If we would have just shop vacked it and swept all the loose surface dust and debris up, we could have done the base coat that same day. We could have done the base coat and the flake that same day. Now, if you have a floor, sorry, my computer's chiming at me. If you have a floor that you have water coming up through, like there's no vapor barrier, or you have a lot of water getting underneath your floor, then you need to do the, I forget what the actual technical name is, but Sika does have a floor primer that will really help to eliminate that water coming up through, so that you can do this sort of finish without having it fail and having to worry about it bubbling off. So grind it down, sweep it. Now you can either do your primer or just start with your base coat and flake, and then you come back the following day. If you do your base coat and flake on day one, then you come back a second day and put a sealer on it, and then you're done. If you do need a primer, then you need to come back a second day, do your base coat and your flake, come back a third day and seal it. So really, this finish should be a 2 to 3 day process. 3 days being if you need to take the extra step for a primer. You know, it was a learning curve for me. I'm really happy we did it that way, because now I know what to look for, what exactly I'm doing, multiple ways of going about doing the same job, and ways to kind of look at each job. So, I mean, with all that being said, I cannot thank Pat enough for coming over and showing me the how-tos on how to grind a floor down and what to look for. Cannot thank Amy enough for coming over and lending us a hand with the product, the application, and you know, the tips and tricks that we need to know in order to offer these types of finishes to our customers. So if you're watching this video, you're obviously on my channel. If you want to see the actual application of this flooring, then you can go ahead and jump over to my dad's channel, Concrete with the Hosses. There's a link in the description. Go ahead, click on that, and the video of us doing that should also be up as well. But want to thank you guys for tuning back in to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. If you like what you saw, please click the like and subscribe. Don't forget to like us on Instagram. Don't forget to check out our store on Etsy. And as always, thank you guys a million times over for the continued support. So that's a wrap on this one. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.